Y'all, and welcome to Whisky Wins with me, Stuart. Hello and welcome to Whisky Wins with me, Stuart. Yeah, I'm not American, but today we've got a bourbon, Eagle Rare, very typical of the Americans. Got to have Eagle in the name, yee-haw. So this is my first bourbon, my first bottle of bourbon on the channel. I'm not sure if I've reviewed any bourbon on the channel before, previously, maybe. But yeah, this is the first one. So this is my first bourbon, technically. First ever trying my own bottle of bourbon. Yeah, the title's a little bit clickbait, but hey ho, we're going to open it. Normally what I like to do is I normally like to get halfway through a bottle and then review a whiskey. But we're just going to get right into this. We're going to get right into the cork, open that up and see what it's like. It's bottled at 45% ABV. Someone told me over in America they use proof. I don't know what that means. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know what proof means. But this just says Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I've got no idea about bourbon. I've got no idea about American whiskey. I'm probably the completely wrong person to be doing these type of videos. But I thought, they're using our scotch to get views, I'm going to use their bourbon to get views. And hopefully I'll get views, but I doubt it. It's got to be something like that. I think it's because they're using bourbon and they've got a wider, bigger audience in America. That's why they're getting views. It's got nothing to do with my personality, nothing to do with my humour. I think it's all to do with what bottles they're reviewing. So we're going to review an American whiskey, or actually technically a bourbon. I don't know what the difference is. Someone told me the difference. Someone always tells me things and I always forget. One of them's possibly rye, I don't know. One's got rye in it and one doesn't, or something like that. This is aged for 10 years. So it's got an age statement on there. It doesn't say anything about colouring. I don't know if there's any point in reading the back because, like our Scottish romanticism that we like to build up these stories about whiskey and where it came from, the American, I'm assuming, is going to have a lot of patriotic themes, things about, I don't know, freedom and liberty. So is there any point in reading it? Will we give it a go? Life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Yeah, that makes, like, it's as if I've already read it, but I haven't. The cornerstones of the birth of a nation, epitomised by the American bald eagle. That nation has come to represent the freedom, ding 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 ding, if you're playing bingo at home, spirit and independence of the individual, giving the world products and innovations that are uniquely its own. Yeah, y'all, America, woo! One such innovation was Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Early Kentucky settlers created bourbon, the true American spirit, in the late 1700s. By practice and protected by law, no other distilled spirit adheres to standards as strict as those established for Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I don't know about Scottish whiskey, but it adheres to pretty strong laws as well. And a few other whiskies can offer even a glimpse of the great whiskey making found in Eagle Rare. Eagle Rare 10-year-old Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey has a sweet, oaky nose and full complex body. Reminiscent of a fine port wine, this rare whiskey is best served neat or over ice. Of course, feel free to drink Eagle Rare and such classic cocktails as the Manhattan or Whiskey Sour. Yeah, so it's made in Kentucky. We'll get the pop. Let's hear that pop. Get down to this, me babbling on. Oof. Now this cost me £28. I can't remember if I got it from Amazon or Tesco. It was one of those. It might have been Amazon. And someone said it's a great, I don't know if I just got a little bit Cork in there. Yeah, I think I did. Someone said it's a great whiskey to try, a great bourbon to try. Like I said, I've tried bourbon before. The title's clickbait. It's not my first bourbon, but it's my first bottle of bourbon. I've never owned a bottle, and yeah, like I said, I've tried them before. There's been a few that I've kind of agreed with. The others, not so much. I feel bourbon can be quite synthetic, quite chemically, and almost not necessarily varnish, but just quite, it's almost refined. I don't know how to describe it yet. Just quite synthetic almost. So hopefully this will be different. If you're new here, how I rate my whiskey is three kind of factors I rate it against. Would I buy it again? Would I recommend it? And do I think it's worth it? If the whiskey at least gets 2 out of 3, then it's a whiskey win. If it only gets 1 out of 3, it's a whiskey bin. There are some circumstances that can be negated, but usually it's 1 out of 3 is a whiskey bin. Hopefully that's given it enough time. I've got a fancy glass, a very indulgent glass, self-indulgent if you will, egotistical almost. Maybe not egotistical, the proper word would be eccentric, I think. It's an eccentric glass. But yeah, I've got this glass because I love my fellow Americans and their ways. And this to me is a very American glass. I think you can tell it's a bourbon. I would be shocked if I got this wrong in a blind and thought it was a Scottish whiskey or an Irish whiskey. It's got those bourbon qualities to it. Sweet for sure, overly sweet, almost like a PX sherry sweet, just a little on the sickly side, but it's not off-putting, it's not overbearing, it's not overpowering, it's just enough sickly sweet, if that makes sense. There's kind of chipboard smell. This is my first time trying Eagle Rare, by the way. I've not got any notes. Usually I take notes when I go down the bottle, have some notes compiled, have them in my head, but I don't have any notes on this, so this is just all straight from the glass. There's a kind of, it's like a caramel syrup that you'd find in lattes or when you go to Costa or Starbucks, that really sweet caramel syrup, not like caramel sauce that you put over ice cream. It's that caramel syrup that needs to be diluted with water or hot water or coffee, whatever. It needs to be kind of thinned down a little, but this is like the caramel syrup just straight on the nose. It's very sickly sweet's the only word. But yeah, like I said, a bit of chipboard, something like a kind of MDF or something like that, which is just medium density fiberboard. It's just a kind of composite of wood, fake wood almost, like chipboard put together, and you put a veneer over it. I think IKEA use MDF, I could be wrong, but it's that kind of wood smell, like almost, not real wood. I think we all know what MDF is, or should do. I'm not really getting anything chemical or synthetic yet. I think I usually get that in the palate, but it's actually quite nice. I think I'm getting a nice kind of vanilla ice cream on the nose, but once again, not necessarily ice cream, the actual product vanilla ice cream. It's more, they used to make these kind of sweets, little, I don't know if they were chocolates, but they looked like ice creams, vanilla little ice creams, and that's what this is on the nose. But vanilla, like a vanilla chocolatey thing. I don't know how you do. It's not white chocolate, but it's vanilla if it was white chocolate, if that makes any sense. Yeah, we'll get down the palate, see if there's anything there on the palate. I think I've got most of the nose. I think I've discovered most of it. I just want to see what it said. No, what did it say? Yeah, whiskey has a sweet, oaky nose. Yeah, it is a little, well, I think the MDF, or the chipboard rather than oak. But it's definitely sweet, there's no denying that. We'll go for the palate. It says full body here. Yeah, it says full complex body, reminiscent of a fine port wine. It doesn't remind me of port. Port to me is nice, deep, rich, thick. Like it says, full bodied, but this doesn't feel. It's oily. It's got that oily film feel to it, but it's not full bodied. It's got a little bit of a hit, a little bit of a. It's only 45% ABV, but it does have a little bit of a punch, but not overly hard hitting. It's more like a light tap, but you can feel the presence of the alcohol there. burnt sugar or burnt caramel or something like. We had a sticky toffee the other day at work, and they had burnt the bottom layer of it. Must have burnt it on the oven tray, and the sponge in that was all fine, nice, lovely sticky toffee. But then you got this real bitter, burning sensation, burning taste, texture from the bottom layer that kind of stuck to the pan, stuck to the baking tray, and that's what that's like. It's a little bitter, but you can see what's trying to be revealed. They're trying to go for a sweetness there, but it's more of a bitterness, which isn't. It's not a negative comment. I quite like bitter whiskies at times, and this does work. It's got that bitter, sweet element to it. Yeah, that real oily feel. But yeah, there is quite a sensation, quite an evaporation or something. I don't know what you'd call it, with the alcohol reacting with the tongue and the mouth. It does, I don't want to say burn, but it does kind of burn a little. It's a little too, a little too violent on the palate. It kind of takes away from the other flavours, from trying to decipher what's there. It masks it almost, because you've got this harshness. I probably should have brought some water to put some water in it. I normally don't put water in it. In fact, I'm going to go and get some water and see how that opens up. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back with the water. So yeah, I'm going to put a little bit do the Ralphie method. Some Jesus, this is quite hard to get into this glass. Some teaspoons in there. I'm going to go 2. I watch Ralphie now and then when I've got time in that, but I don't know what his actual method what it's constructed of, if he has a comparison of how many spoonfuls of water should go with what whiskies and that. I just randomly put stuff in, so I'm not sure if he's got some sort of guidance on how many spoonfuls you should put in. But yeah, we'll get down to this palate with water. Yeah, that's definitely tamed. I'm just trying to see if I've got getting a little bit of it. No, it's definitely tamed the alcoholic presence. A lot sweeter now. That burnt element's kind of calmed down. It's became a lot creamier. It's a lot more with the oil element, a little bit more buttery, more vanilla, more creamy, more ice cream. I want to say like this is ice cream in a glass almost. Just from adding the water, it's completely. It's done a U-turn. It's completely changed it around from that bitter, kind of bittersweet, overpowering alcohol. It's now a nice creamy ice cream, vanilla, sweet, almost, I don't want to say dull, but just a little bit dulled down, which makes it a lot more palatable for my palate and for my taste buds. Because like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of bourbon, but in this form, in this current state, it's actually quite nice. So we'll go more, see if I can get anything else on the palate, 'cause I don't feel like I've revealed much. There's this sweetness, and I'm going to relate it to the synthetic side of things with bourbon that I generally don't enjoy, but I'm enjoying it in this. It's like a synthetic, sugary kind of syrup again, but not like caramel syrup. It's hard to describe. I'm not sure where I'm going with this. I wanted to say like a cherry or a raspberry, like quite an overpowering synthetic chemical, not as if it's not made from the fruit itself, as if someone in the laboratory has coined this up with a different number of concoctions and managed to create a cherry or raspberry flavour. But I'm not sure it is cherry or raspberry if it is a fruit. I'm going to go again and see if I can get it. There's something there that's synthetic, that's man-made flavour, that's normally naturally made flavour, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I'm going to say raspberry ripple. That's all I can think of. It's like a really cheap, raspberry ripple ice cream. So you've got the really cheap vanilla ice cream, this sounds terrible, the really cheap fake raspberry flavour that is not in any way related to fruit, not other than by name. It's not like a raspberry, what do you call it, compote, or what's the paste. It's not like a raspberry puree, but it's like a made up raspberry flavour in a lab that they've put together with their cheap ice cream. They've mixed it together, it's raspberry ripple, and they're selling it to you in a glass. That's how I describe this, and I am enjoying it. Surprisingly, I don't think it's bad, and this is only the first pour. I'm enjoying this for a bourbon, but would I reach for this over some Scottish whisky? I think it's a good change, good mix up, so I probably would, and that's kind of why I reviewed it today. I was looking at what to review, and I saw this and I was like, oh, why not, just go for it. So I feel like that's what it's going to be when I'm trying to figure out what whiskey to go for, and I've got this just in the corner saying, yeah, why not just go for me. So we'll get back down to the palate and we'll see if there's anything on the finish as well. There's that burnt element still there, that bitterness is still kind of in the background even with the water. The water subdued it a little, but the burnt element's still there. So on the finish, I would probably go with more burnt caramel or more burnt sugar or something like that. There's a varnish flavour, a varnish element that I think is quite typical with bourbon. What else is there in the finish? I'd say it's a medium finish. I wouldn't say it's overly long, wouldn't say it's too short or concerningly short. It's probably just right. A little bit of vanilla, a little bit of that cream coming through just at the back. Once those kind of harsh, bitter elements escape or fade out, you definitely get a nice creaminess. It's very ice cream in character, very ice cream reminiscent. I think if I was to describe it, it would be an ice cream in a glass or an ice cream in liquid form or something like that, because it's very creamy, very ice cream, and with the water that definitely helps bolster or strengthen that argument, strengthen that conclusion, thesis, whatever you want, that this is ice cream in a glass. So that's probably all I've got for the finish, and we'll get down to my 3 ratings and see if it's a Whisky Win or a Whisky Bin. So, do I think it's worth it? Yeah, I can't knock £28. I don't know what the RRP is. I think the RRP is probably about 38, 30 to 40 possibly. But getting this at £28, yeah, it's worth it. This is worth £28. I don't think it's not worth it. I don't think it's so bad that it's not worth the £28. I think it's just priced right at £28. Would I buy it again? I don't think I would. Like I've said, bourbon, I'm not the biggest fan of bourbon. I can have it, and there are some that I've really enjoyed. This one I'm enjoying. It's nice enough. It's nothing spectacular. It's nothing mind-blowing. It is bourbon. But yeah, there have been other examples of bourbon that I have thought, I'd be like, oh, I maybe should have bought a bottle of this. But yeah, I wouldn't buy another bottle. Would I recommend it? I think if you like bourbon, yeah, definitely. Give it a bash. If you predominantly like Scottish, like me, probably still recommend it. It's something different. It's something to try at least. Just kind of widen your palate, widen your experience. You might, it's almost, it's a £28 on that. You might as well. It's nothing like, oh, you need to try it. It's you might as well. So yeah, that's all I've got to say in this. I think it's a Whisky Win. We'll go a Whisky Win. I think from the first pour, anyway, at least it's a Whisky Win, and I can't see it getting worse as I go further down. I can see it getting better, hopefully. Maybe that bitterness, that alcoholic present just subsiding a little, and the vanilla, the ice cream, the sweetness kind of getting pushed out, standing out a little more. But currently in its form, it's still nice, it's still a Whisky Win. So before I blabber on anymore, thanks for watching. I've been Stuart, this has been Whisky Wins. I'll see you later.